Does humanity have a special place in the universe? Or are we just as ordinary as any other animal? To try and answer these questions, we will begin talking about the origin of our species and its place in the world. Then we will approach more difficult questions, such as where are we going and why. In order to understand the meaning of human existence, first we have to define meaning itself. This word can imply two different things. The most common definition implies intention, which implies design, which in turn implies the existence of a designer. This is the base of religions and their creation stories. They believe that a superior entity, the designer, has created humanity with an intention. Ergo humans have purpose, and thus everything we do has meaning. There is a second broader definition used in science that denies the idea of a designer. According to this definition, the source of meaning comes from overlapping networks of historical accidents. There are no omnipotent higher beings that created us. We are just a series of random events that happen by means of the laws of the universe. Every decision made by a human being has meaning in the first intentional sense. However, to understand how and why we became able to decide and the consequences that follow, we need to address the science-based meaning. As we get more accurate self-understanding, we will be able to use the aforementioned consequences, such as the capacity to imagine possible futures and to choose among them. The way of getting the highest level of self-understanding will be to answer one of the most relevant questions to humanity. How and why are we the way we are? Biology uses two kinds of explanations when talking about living processes: how or proximate, and why or ultimate. Proximate explanations recognize that anatomy and emotions are hardwired to function in a certain way. For example, a proximate explanation will be: we have 2 hands and 10 fingers, and we use them in this specific way. Ultimate explanations answer why do we have this particular hardwiring and not any other. For example, taking the hand example, an ultimate explanation will be: why do we have 2 hands and 10 fingers, and why do we use them as we do? To understand human condition and consequently the meaning of humanity, we need both levels of explanation. Until now, we have talked about these 3 concepts: 2 definitions of the word meaning, self-understanding, and 2 kinds of biological explanations. They are the ones that will be used in further discussions to answer to the question of the meaning of human existence. A crucial key to this riddle of what we are lies in the circumstances and processes that created our species. Traditionally, religion has tried to explain human existence as the unfolding of a supernatural design. However, this has become less supportable as scientific knowledge expanded. According to this knowledge, human condition can be explained as a product of history, biological, and cultural evolution. As we already know, humans are extremely social. Biologically, the origin of humans' advanced social behavior is similar to that of other animals. Comparative studies across species have shown that the most complex societies emerge from eusociality, which roughly means the true social condition. Eusocial groups are characterized for their members' cooperative relationships and a way of dividing labor that increases their reproductive success. Eusociality stands out because of its rarity. As of now, it has only been discovered in 20 species, including humans, and its recency, being the earliest that we know, determines 150 million of years ago. Its proof ecological success makes us question, First, why is it so rare? And second, why humans are eusocial.
The answer to the first question might be that there is a special sequence of preliminary evolutionary changes that must occur to arrive to the final step, which is the construction of a protected nest. Two different ideas have been proposed to answer the second question. To explain one of them, we have to go back 2 million years to Africa. Our ancestors shifted from a primarily vegetarian diet to the inclusion of meat. They found that it was more efficient to occupy a campsite and send out hunters who brought back meat and whose young offspring were cared for in exchange. This event led to the manifestation of cooperative and competitive relationships among members of the same species. These relationships triggered a much-needed mental growth, as they needed memory, response prediction, and ability to rehearse future interactions. This social intelligence evolved to the point in which our memory was able to join past, present, and future. On the other hand, the second idea stems from the belief of some evolutionary biologists that the reason of this advanced social evolution is the combination of forces and environmental circumstances. There are two different theories about what is the principal force of high social intelligence. The first theory defends kin selection. Individuals favor not only their offsprings, but also relatives, making it easier for altruism to evolve among members of the same group. The second theory leans toward multi-level selection, which states that natural selection operates at two levels. Individual selection, based on intra-group competition and cooperation, and group selection, which arises from intergroup competition and cooperation. Individual selection promotes intra-group competition as the members fight for a higher level in the hierarchy, and group selection promotes intra-group cooperation as they unite to compete against members of other groups. Multi-level selection has gained in favor because it fits well with our previous knowledge about cases of eusocial species, and also because of mathematical proof that demonstrates that kin selection can only operate under special and rare conditions. To explore this evolutionary theory more in depth, we discussed the following two questions. Are we intrinsically good or bad? Are we built to pledge our lives to a group or to place our families and ourselves above all else? Scientific evidence suggests that we are both of these things simultaneously. We are inherently conflicted because of how we evolved. Thus, if we say that individual selection promoted sin, while group selection promoted virtue, we could say that it simply came to be that humans will probably forever be conflicted by the two extreme forces that created us. The evolutionary products that stem from group-selected behaviors are so completely a part of the contemporary human condition that we regard them as fixtures of nature, when in reality they are idiosyncratic traits of our species. Among them, we find our big interest in other people. We are geniuses at reading the intentions of others, which requires a high level of social intelligence that allows to continuously review past experiences and imagine future scenarios and their consequences. Our overpowering instinct to belong to groups, preferably those who are similar to us in appearance, language, or beliefs. Large part of our personal identity lies in our social identity. We can conclude that the human achievement is not actually that unique. Human existence might not be as complex as we thought. We have no real purpose, we don't have a set destiny, or special meaning. We evolved from a series of accidental events that led us to be what we are now, a biological species living in a biological world. All of what we've talked about are Wilson's ideas, and as such, they do not represent the scientific community as a whole. In fact, there has been quite a lot of debate on the topic of humans as eusocial animals, as well as on the validity of the multi-level selection model. Thus, we find ourselves questioning whether humans can really be considered a eusocial species.